variety of forages for your animals. So come on by 4000 Taylorsville Highway, Statesville, or call us at 704-873-5758. We're worth the drive. Thank you again for supporting small family-owned businesses. God bless.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
All systems are a go.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats. Taking Care of Iredell with North Carolina State Representative Jeff McNeely is about to begin. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Iredell County. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Hey, we're setting it up now where we're doing our guest right off the get-go, so I'm going to go ahead and try to bring our guest in. We got Judge Jefferson Griffin on the phone. Let's see if we can bring him in. Jefferson, are you there?
You got me, Jeff?
Hey, man, I got you. I got you. How you doing?
Man, we're great. We're great. Down on the calling in from the Crystal Coast today. From the home.
Well, that's there you go. You can't beat that. Then you're down there living it up. So I know you've been on the campaign trail.
Yeah, we've been all there. I did a lap around your neck of the woods last week and back through Winston-Salem and then headed back east. The Supreme Court campaign has kept us busy.
Wow.
We're all over the place.
I always say nobody understands how big a state this is till you sign up for a statewide race. It's ridiculous how big this state is.
It's very true. It's we don't think about it, but it's as long as Florida is.
I mean, it is. Yeah. It's just on and on and on and on. Well, hey, all right. You've been on my show before when you ran for Court of Appeals, and folks, he's now one of our. Y'all have 15 on the Court of Appeals, isn't that correct?
That's right, Jeff. Yeah, 15.
Yep. So he's one of our Court of Appeals judges. Won that in 2020, correct? Or 22?
That was 2020.
2020.
Yeah, it was 2020.
Right. Trying to get all my facts right. Tell us a little bit, though. Tell us, I had you on back there when you were running in, but a lot of water's passed under the bridge. So tell us a little bit about Jefferson Griffin. Who is he, and what is it all
right.
about?
Well, thank you. Kind of much like your area, I grew up in similar kind of an agriculture area, and I know in northern Iredell anyway. I grew up in Nash County, just east of Raleigh and kind of just west of Rocky Mount, a small town called Red Oak on a family farm. And so blessed to grow up there. Went to school at Carolina, and after that did some time working on fishing boats down on the coast. I got my captain's license, and then ended up going. Started fish tournaments, went to Mexico and up and down our coast, and then figured out that working on the ocean every day is a hard way to make a living. And a lot of respect for people who earn their living on the water. It can be a very taxing environment, and not every day is pretty out there. But decided to go back. I wanted to serve, and so decided to go to law school at North Carolina Central, and after that started practicing in Kinston, North Carolina, with a kind of varied practice there. Did some civil defense, a little bit of everything, like a small town practice. Then joined the DA's office in Wake County, prosecuted cases from infractions to murders over 5 years, and Governor McCrory appointed me to an open judgeship. There was a seat that opened up there, and then stood election in Wake County as a Republican. And I was probably one of the last ones that was countywide elected. And then was elected statewide in 2020 to the Court of Appeals, where I'm honored to serve now. I've authored over 200 opinions, all different areas of law. Also, serve in the Army National Guard here in North Carolina. I'm the senior defense counsel for the state and the judge advocate corps here. So that keeps us busy as well. And nothing keeps me as busy as my family, which is great. Very blessed there. I've got about a 9-month-old little girl named Annie, a 2.5-year-old little boy named Jay. And my wife is a very patient lady right now.
They all
haven't dealing with all that. Yeah, dealing with a statewide campaign and two little ones, and military service. She's a very impressive lawyer herself. Who kind of stepped away a little bit, doing a little bit of part-time stuff, but we're very blessed, and that's That's where we are. We picked up the Supreme Court campaign about a year and a half ago, traveling all over the state, and had a great response. And we're down to the short rows in the campaign.
And now this is the only seat that's open on the North Carolina Supreme Court. There's just one this term, correct?
That's right. We've got one Supreme Court seat. That's a 7-member court. Our Court of Appeals is 15. Our North Carolina Supreme Court is 7. We've got one seat up this time. We've got 3 Court of Appeals seats that are up, and I've got three folks who we've been running together. They're just fantastic. They're going to make great jurists and already are great jurists. But that's Valerie Zachary. She's defending her seat at the Court of Appeals. Tom Murray, who was in the legislature previously, has been a state prosecutor, pharmacist. He's got a very impressive. He's in the Army with me too. And then we've got Judge Chris Freeman. He's a district court judge in Castle and Rockingham County. He's also a Air Force reservist, and I like to tease him. I tell him that's kind of like the military. But we good Army Air Force humor, but seriously very much respect both of their service as well. And those are the kind of people that the Republicans have put up in statewide judicial races this year, and they're very impressive. This is probably one of the more impressive groups of candidates we've put forward in recent history.
Well, and I don't want to get into your Supreme Court race as much as we talk a little bit about the Court of Appeals and how important it is and where we're at with it. Now, we got a hard break coming up here about 11:15 for a minute or so. We got to pay the bills and run commercials, but just letting you know that. But we got about two and a half minutes to talk on this. Court of Appeals, in my opinion, critical. Y'all are kind of that line that looks and sees, did the trial happen right? Were all the boxes checked? And I think a lot of people think, oh, well, it's going to go to the Court of Appeals, and they're going to look at this verdict, and the verdict, they're going to say, they ain't no way they're going to rule that this verdict's right. That's not what y'all do. And I try to explain that to people.
It's an error-correcting court, and probably 95, maybe a higher percentage of all appeals get resolved there. And you're right, Jeff. We're not there to retry cases. We're not there to change policy. We're there to make sure we look at the briefs and look at the filings from down below and make sure there are no errors in the court. And then it's got to be a prejudicial error. There might be something that was wrong, but it didn't cause any prejudice to the case. And so we're very deferential, especially the fact finding from the trial court, because they're viewing that, they're watching them, they're seeing what's going on. So we don't get into the issue of retrying cases. That's the role of the Court of Appeals.
Yeah, and folks, I'm sure there's a lot of things that we could talk about case-wise, but we have to be careful here because we don't want Jefferson to have to recuse himself, because it seems like the Democratic playbook is to keep bringing up the same stuff over and over and over again to try to see some way or another they can find a crack or something to overturn the different stuff that we've gone through. And like I said, can't say a whole lot, but we know now. Let's put it this way, folks. When you go to get your vote now, you have to show an ID, and we'll just leave it at that. But that could definitely come back. So you don't even have to comment on that, Jefferson, but just stuff like that. So makes the interview a little tricky to a point, but not necessarily, because now we're down to 30 seconds, and we're going to come back on this, but want to know why you're running, so be thinking about that. But I know you've done a stellar job. Like I said, over 200 opinions on the Court of Appeals, so been very active. Y'all have. The best thing is we've won just about every judicial race for conservatives in the last 2 election cycles, and that's made a huge difference. And we got about 5 seconds, so we're just going to go to break, and you be thinking about what we're going to talk about when we come back. Hang on, folks.
Keep it right here. Taking Care of Iredell with NC Representative Jeff McNeely will return after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
We're kicking off a brand new week and more opportunities for rain. Really what could soak us by the end of the weekend to the upcoming weekend. With a couple different systems on the way, and a system that could be forming in the Gulf of Mexico that may bring some rain and possibly wind our way by the upcoming weekend. In the meantime, we'll see a mix of clouds, some sunshine peeking out at times for our Monday. We'll really ward off the rain chance until a spotty shower possible.
Hey, Jefferson.
Hey,
we're still on stream, but we're talking off the radio right now.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
just next coming up, like I said, why are you running? Basically, what do you see the job as a North Carolina Supreme Court justice being how should they be. So we'll just talk a lot about the requirements of the job, and then probably at the end talk a little bit about the craziness that's coming at you from the other side. So
I'm glad to do that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, just hold tight.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks.
Taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday. This Saturday, the Taba Walk begins at 2 p.m. in Old Town Cornelius. Join the area's premier arts and music festival and get ready to experience Lake Norman's most action-packed and fun-filled community celebration with plenty to do for the entire family. Festivities include 2 stages of live bands and entertainment, local artists, craftsmen and vendors, local breweries, multiple food truck courts, a petting zoo, kid zones, games, giveaways, and so much more. The Taba Walk begins at 2 p.m. Saturday in Old Town Cornelius. Northview's Stars Ministry presents a fundraising carnival for children and adults with special needs on September 28th. The carnival begins at 11 a.m. Saturday at 2615 Amity Hill Road in Statesville with free admission. There will be food, activities, and fun for the whole family. Please help raise funds for children and adults with special needs Saturday at the Northview Church of Christ in Statesville. The Breakaway Carolina Music Festival returns to ZMAX Dragway this Friday and Saturday, bringing a party like no other. The festival features 2 days of music, activities, and much more, beginning at 4 p.m. on both days. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details for the Carolina Breakaway Music Festival this Friday and Saturday.
The Renaissance Festival is back! Saturdays and Sundays, October 5th through November 24th. Jousting nights, mermaids, fairies, dragons, oh my! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
For 42 years, Johnson's Parts and Supply has been your Auto Plus auto parts store. When you need auto parts, think Johnson's Parts and Supply. Your Auto Plus auto parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
It's Taking Care of Iredell with NC Representative Jeff McNeely on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
All right, back here with the middle of the show, we got Judge Jefferson Griffin in here with us, running for North Carolina Supreme Court Justice, and we're going to bring him back in. Jefferson, are you still with me?
I'm there.
All right.
Here.
Now, this is the question I always ask everybody, and it's almost like that Forrest Gump question. Are you stupid or are you crazy? Why are you running for this? This is hard. This is hard.
Well, it doesn't go any further for me than I've always been very patriotic, but it really doesn't go any further for me than my 2 little children right now. I want to make sure that, there are people in these positions all across the state that are, in my particular branch of government, committed to the rule of law and interpreting the law, not trying to legislate from the bench. And we need people who are committed to public service. And I felt like my background in the law, my background from growing up in Red Oak and living and working in rural and urban areas, varied experiences I've had in military service, were needed perspectives in our judiciary, and had a lot of good folks come and offer support for me running for Supreme Court. And I think it's the most impactful statewide race on the ballot this year. And I want to make sure that we had the best candidate we could put forward, who would put in the right amount of effort to make sure that we are able to put ourselves in a position to pick up this seat as a conservative on the court. Right now it's 5-2. We have a conservative majority, but every cycle fights that we can't really take our eye off the ball on now. We've seen what can happen with a liberal majority on the court, and these are high stakes races. They're 8-year terms. So 8 years is a long time to sit in office, and got to make sure we put our best foot forward. And felt like I should give North Carolinians the opportunity to hopefully put me in that seat.
Well, I think constituents, voters are starting to realize the importance of our judiciary and how critical it is to have conservative, rule of law minds on that court because they've seen what it is to be touchy feely and rule by the way that I just don't like this. Nothing to do with law, just feelings. To where it's all where we're going to the other side where we are now, where it is no feelings, it is what is the rule of law, and I think that's critical. And to me, that's the big difference I've seen in your liberal jurist versus your conservative jurist. And I may want to speak a little to that.
Yeah, no, that's the right assessment, Jeff. I mean, in North Carolinians, I think you brought it up before the break, but in 2020 we won 8 out of 8 statewide races. In 2022, we won 6 out of 6 statewide judicial races, and I think that's because we've demonstrated as conservative jurists that we're going to apply the law as it's written. We have separation of powers in our state for a reason. We have 3 branches of government, and for the judiciary to move into the policymaking lane does not work with our system of government, and it throws everything off. And that's not what people elect judges to do. People in our state, through their elected representatives, the General Assembly, they send y'all there to make the law. We interpret it. And so conservative jurists, the way we look at it, at least the way I do, is that, I'm going to look at whatever the original meaning of that word was, because if I put my spin on it, if I say, well, that can't mean what it meant, or it should change. Times have changed. Then I'm saying that's what Jefferson wants, not what the people got in place from their elected representatives. And so it just invites judicial activism, and we're always in a struggle. Judicial restraint, kind of the way I look at it, versus judicial activism versus the way the liberals look at it and think that they should change policy through the courts. So we've done a good job of explaining that, I think, across the state. And, I think that voters have responded, and especially when they get that information on who's a conservative jurist and who's a liberal jurist.
And it's funny, I've worked many polls, and I'll be handing out the sheet, and it'll have a list, of usually all the conservatives on it. And I'll have people say, "Oh, I'm good. I got what I need." I said, "Well, this has a list of the conservative judges on it. You sure you don't want that? Because you may not be able to tell on the ballot." And I bet you 9 out of 10 people stop, take 2 steps back, and grab it out of my hand and go in. And I don't believe
100%.
I don't believe all 9 of those 10 were necessarily Republicans. I think they're conservative by nature, like most people are who have a household, who try to make a living, who live within their means. They don't want somebody waking up one morning feeling one way and waking up the next morning and feeling another.
Well, that's what you get, right? That's what you get with conservative jurists. Like people want consistency in the law. Yeah. They want consistency for businesses, for citizens. They want to. Law enforcement wants consistency so they can help keep us safe. It's about our approach to the law is the most consistent. The other side is completely results driven. And so they, like you said, they could wake up one morning and say, well, I think that the interpretation of the law, that they got it wrong. They couldn't have meant that. Whereas a conservative jurist is going to look at it, try to figure out what the intent was of when it was written, what the meaning was when it was written, and apply and interpret that way. And so it gives us guardrails, right?
Yeah.
As a conservative jurist, we may not actually agree on every interpretation. And in fact, we don't. I'd say there's conservatives at my court, at the Court of Appeals, and conservatives at the Supreme Court, and we see things a little bit differently. But just, we have guardrails because we have that baseline, and we're not going out trying to change policy through the court. We may have a slight difference in interpretation. So that's really, I think that's one of the biggest differences in our brand of conservative jurists has been good in our state. And I think you're right. People, they could be Democrats, unaffiliated, Republicans. They want to know who conservative jurists are because they don't want to send an elected representative up there just to have a judge and run and make policy and legislate from the bench.
And we see that all the time. Some obscure district court judge or maybe superior court judge in Timbuktu, Arkansas, or name a state somewhere or another out in the middle of nowhere comes up and says, this is unconstitutional, and shuts down a whole federal program. I mean, it's crazy. And I always say the same people that reinterpret the law are also the ones that go through the Bible and pick out the parts they like. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a fair way to put it.
Yeah. Anyway, well, and not to, because I have a kind of a rule. I just really don't ever mention competition. And so she who shall not be named in the Harry Potter form, as we'll use it today, your competition is running against you. The liberal one has repeatedly sued our state time and time again from the group that she represented before on anything and everything. So I wonder now, how can she come in with a clear mind if God forbid she would happen to get elected and be non-biased in her opinion after so many different times she's sued against everything that's come up. And she's already even come out and stated how she feels about reproductive rights and how she's going to rule on those. So how can she sit on the bench?
Yeah, that's a question that she's going to have to answer to voters, and I hope that voters ask that question. She's going to have to answer it. It's you've got a stark contrast in our backgrounds and our judicial philosophies. We've already gone over kind of my background and how I look at the law, and my opponent worked at the Southern Coalition for Social Justice for her whole legal career.
That's an acronym for crazy. I think if you spell it out, it spells crazy.
It brought some of the most, I think, objectively partisan and politically charged cases in our state over that time period, and then became a political appointment to the bench. And so, that's the decision that voters have to make. I think it's a clear choice in this race. But that's where the Democrats want to take our judiciary. So in North Carolina, we all vote on judges. It's our job and our privilege to be able to do that. It's in our state constitution that we have elected judges. And so unlike the federal level where they go through appointment processes, the people in our state get to choose. And so it's our job to make sure they've got as much information as they can to make an informed decision. So one of those ways is getting on the radio right here. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that, Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome. And really tell you the truth, in my opinion, this is one of the more conservative members of our Court of Appeals running against the most liberal person on our North Carolina Supreme Court. So it's the valley is wide and deep between you and your opponent as far as who is a conservative jurist and who is an unbelievably liberal jurist.
No, I couldn't agree more. You look at our records, you look at our backgrounds, our life experiences, who's supporting our campaigns. Like I've gotten broad support across the state from Republicans, unaffiliated Democrats. I've been endorsed by the Troopers Association, the Police Benevolent Association here in North Carolina, the Fraternal Order of Police here in North Carolina. And, even from a legal background, my last two statewide campaigns, I was endorsed by both the plaintiffs bar and the civil defense bar. So I've been able to gain respect across the ideological spectrum within our profession. So I'm hopeful that North Carolinians look at all that and take into account and see that we've actually, as
Jefferson,
Republicans,
we've ran out of time.
No, I got you.
We'll get you back. All right.
No worries.
Stay tuned to the second part of the show. All right. See you, folks. Thank you. Bye.
WSIC.
We're kicking off a brand new week and more opportunities for rain. Really, what could soak us by the end of the weekend to the upcoming weekend, with a couple different systems on the way and a system that could be forming in the Gulf of Mexico that may bring some rain and possibly wind our way by the upcoming weekend. In the meantime, we'll see a mix of clouds, some sunshine peeking out at times for our Monday. We'll really ward off the rain chance until a spotty shower possible this evening. We'll keep that chance around for Tuesday with high temperatures both days around 80. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. Meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hey, this is Jeff McNeely, owner of G&M Milling Company in beautiful downtown Lowray. We at G&M hope you come by and see us for all your livestock needs. We stock feeds for all kinds of animals and hay too. We also have seed for a wide variety of forages for your animals. So come on by 4000 Taylorsville Highway, Statesville, or call us at 704-873-5758. We're worth the drive. Thank you again for supporting small family-owned businesses. God bless.
For 42 years, Johnson's Parts and Supply has been your Auto Plus auto parts store. When you need auto parts, think Johnson's Parts and Supply. Your Auto Plus auto parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Sweet chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself, because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do...
Let's play something, Grandma.
...became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Looking for a large private room for your next work function? Or maybe you need a place to bring the whole family for a delicious meal? Pomodoros of Mooresville has the perfect space for your crowd. Book your next event at Pomodoros.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. It'll be a harsh holiday season for 2/3 of the workers at a General Motors assembly plant in Kansas. The company is going to lay them off while it retools the factory to start production of the next Chevy Bolt model. GM says production will resume the middle of next year. Automotive News says layoffs for almost 1,700 workers will start in November. In its quest to take over the largest mattress retailer, Mattress Firm, the largest mattress maker, Tempur Sealy, is making moves in hopes of overcoming a regulatory challenge. It will sell 73 Mattress Firm locations and the entire Sleep Outfitters chain of more than 100 stores to smaller chain Mattress Warehouse. But that still would leave Tempur Sealy with 2,800 stores after its $2.7 billion deal for Mattress Firm closes. The FTC is fighting it. Hearings begin in 2 months. Wall Street's indexes moving higher so far today. Dow up almost 0.25%. NASDAQ and S&P 500 each rising 0.33%. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Call now to speak with NC Representative Jeff McNeely at 844-STUDIO-4. It's Taking Care of Iredell on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
All right, back here with the second half of the show. Getting ready to get into it. Hey, if anybody would like to call in, 844-788-3464. A lot of stuff's been going on this past week. A lot of interesting things. So give me a holler if you'd like to talk, 844-788-3464. We'll go ahead and jump on in here real quick here. One thing I did want to bring up, let me get back to my notes here. If you want to find Jefferson on social media, JeffersonGriffin.com is his website. And then I think on Twitter it's at JGriffinNC is where his handle is on Twitter. And I'm sure you can probably find him on Facebook and everything else. Just type in the search there. Look for it. Jefferson Griffin. Griffin, excuse me. Let me get the right in there. There's no H in, I think, there. So anyway, check him out. Hey, one thing I did want to bring up, a couple things before we get into it really good. Walk for Recovery is coming up, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, the 28th, I think it is, 4 to 7 at the park there in Troutman behind Town Hall. I think it's, I'm trying to remember, ESG, I think maybe is what it is. I'm not sure if that's the right acronym, but we all know where their new park is back there, and they'd love to have you out. Got a lot of stuff going on. We had them on the radio show last Monday, and just a great program, great event. for people who are, not necessarily people who have recovered from addictions and issues and mental health, but those that are associated with them or somebody in the family or whatever. It's just time to celebrate that recovery, that ability to get their life back. So don't forget that. Also, real important, Representative Jeff McNeely's having a fundraiser here in Iredell County in my district, October the 8th from 6 to 8 out at the FOP on Wing Drive. They're out in West Iredell. So there'll be stuff I'll have it on my different Facebook pages and try to probably text a million people. Not going to do a lot of mailing because we're trying to do it as economical as we can to raise as much money as we can to help support my North Carolina House members that are running in tough districts. And so I pray that you come and support me to help me support them. It actually helps both of us. It moves me up the food chain in the House to get a little bit more authority maybe and seniority. And it also helps us get a supermajority elected so that we know that we will be able to do what we need to do to make North Carolina be able to move forward and remain a solid state that makes good policy. So I hope you come out and support me on my fundraiser October the 8th. Reach out to me, try to put it out as much as I can. All right, jump in real quick. Like I said, if somebody would like to give us a call, I'll try to watch these lines. I'm down in Cornelius instead of the Statesville studio, so it's a little different. So bear with me, but you can give us a holler, 844-788-3464. North Carolina Supreme Court has ruled that the North Carolina State Board of Elections will have to reprint their ballots and remove Robert Kennedy Jr. Name off the ballot. It's kind of funny. They had to fight like crazy and sue them to get on the ballot. And then after everything went down and all the troubles and the issues across the whole nation where so many different states blocked him, most of those were Democrat-led states that didn't want him on there because they didn't want him to hurt Joe Biden at the time. And now I guess Kamala Harris or Kamala, whichever you want to call her, keep going back and forth on that. So they wouldn't let him on. Finally, they did let him on. Then when they decided that he was going to pull out, they wanted to withdraw from the ballot, and they wouldn't let him off. And knew this was going on, had conversations, and actually had emails issued to the State Board of Elections that they were withdrawing their candidacy, and they went ahead and printed the ballots anyway. So then we had to go and to make sure our ballots are correct, which is real important, y'all. It's very important to have correct ballots for the voters to vote with. And it seems like our State Board of Elections has just ignored that part. Went ahead and, like I said, with disregard, printed them anyway. So now it went to the state Supreme Court and they ruled. So they'll have to reprint. And it's actually going to take a little time off of absentee ballot time because we got to get these ballots done and back out to the people so they get the correct ballot. Kind of crazy. Once again, like I said, the State Board of Elections, Democrat controlled, has just really not done anything necessarily that falls in what I would call a good job in the last while. We still have about 225,000 people on our voter rolls that have registered that we do not know if they're actually citizens or not. And this has happened in the last probably 18 months or so. So I got issues with that, and we're having to sue them over that to make sure that they fall back. So looks like we got a caller. We'll go ahead and take a caller to see who we got. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who's on the line? Hello.
Hello.
Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got here?
Well, I didn't know I was going to get you directly. You don't have a screener today. Hey, this is Hope. I just wanted to come and help you out here a little bit.
Yeah.
Back in 20, when the election was done and everyone was doing the how to pronounce her name back then, I did happen to hear an interview of her saying, to help you remember, just think of the word comma. So it's Kamala Harris.
Kamala. All right. And I'll try to remember that. I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I swear I've heard her campaign pronounce it both ways. So.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's starting to get up there in the category with the word amid. We're hearing it a lot. I mean, there's way more important things to think about. I don't know. Nothing against you wondering because you're trying to be courteous. Everyone's trying to be courteous in the whole mix of that. But, I just wanted to mention that so that we can solve that problem and move on.
You know, that's something that needed to be solved. I appreciate it, Hope. Thank you. So we will pronounce it Kamala. Kamala, right? That's right?
Yeah, comma. Yeah, she said use a comma to remember. I remember saying, I'm like, well, not that I was dying to know, but, it just happened that I heard it. And so I thought I'd help out. And then we can spend those air breaths on something that, we want, like what you talk about mostly. Yeah.
Good deal. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I think we lost her. Okay. I think she's done hung up. Good to talk to Hope. But anyway, just getting a little bit back to the State Board of Elections and the craziness that I'm talking about that's going on there. We're finally getting this maybe worked through. Going to have some good ballots, we hope. Hope they're going to be printed correctly, and we'll be able to get on with a good, fair election, showing our IDs, making sure everybody is qualified to vote. Hopefully we'll figure out those that are not U.S. citizens do not need to vote in our elections, and it is a felony, and we will prosecute. So do know that if you're out there. And if you're not sure if you're a United States citizen, I find that hard to believe, but if you're not sure that you're a United States citizen, I think you need to talk to the Board of Elections and make sure before you make a dreaded mistake. So anyway, next thing we're going to do here, we're going to talk a little bit, and I think I'm getting an echo in my ear, so I don't know if I'm picking up something from the booth out there or not, maybe. We got another caller?
Yeah. WSIC, thank you for calling.
Okay. Starting to hear y'all through my headphone. I don't know, but we got it.
Hey, you want to get on the air?
Okay, we'll take them. We'll find out who it is. People want to talk this morning. That's what I want. I want to hear from them. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Hey, Jeff. William here. How you doing?
Hey, William. How you, sir? I hadn't heard from you in a little bit.
Good. Jefferson, the young man you had on your show earlier, I think he was on Vicky's show Friday.
Oh, was it? We don't really go back and forth and see who's guest or where. We probably should.
But I don't know that for don't quote me to that, but I think he was. But anyway, he made a good point, and Vicky made a good point about that you really can't have any negative or positive, for that matter, campaigning against each other when you're running for that seat in judges.
Yeah.
And my question is that that's a good thing, because I think negative ad campaigns are just a big turnoff. They've just always been. And, there's a bunch of mudslinging going on, and it's been going on for a long time. But why can't they hold that truth to, like, the presidency and vice presidents and seats like that, I wonder?
That's a really good question. And when I ran in my primary, I tried my best to just talk about what I'd done and who I am, and stay out of the weeds, as we like to say in politics. Yeah. Stay out of the weeds. Everybody wants to try to drag you into the weeds. It seems like that's where the muck's raked, and usually in Republican primaries in this county, Democrats I'm sure do it in more Democratic-led counties, but in this one, it's usually a bloodbath, and it gets ugly, and real ugly, and it shouldn't. That's not what we look for.
Well, this is like this latest thing that's happened last week towards Mark Roberson. In my opinion, I think that's a stab towards Donald Trump, because he's obviously endorsed by Donald Trump and each other and so forth and so on. So they're going to sling the mud on Mark Roberson to try to influence one way or another towards Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And people, and that's how the game plays, and it's a dirty game. And I remember Donald Trump saying years ago, I don't actually remember it, I'm too young, but I do recall it, that he was interviewed back in the 70s, and he was asked then if he would run for the presidency, and he said, no, I don't think so, because it's a mean game. It's a mean-spirited game. And then now here he is running. He's already been there once and trying to get back in up there, and that ought to say something right there for his character. It's not about him. It's not about him. He's trying to go back up there to work for us, and that's the reason why there's a lot of people want to try to keep him out of there, is because – number one, the ones that are already there are going to lose their jobs, or their jobs are going to be threatened if he gets back in there. And the fact that he's really not a politician, and he can't be bought like some politicians.
Hey, William, hold on. We're on break. We had to cut in a break, so save that, and if you'll wait with me here about a minute or so, we'll get you back on, and you can finish.
Yeah, 10-4.
Just hold tight with me.
Go pay a bill. I'll be waiting.
Hold tight. There we go.
By the the upcoming weekend. In the meantime, we'll see a mix of clouds, some sunshine peeking out at times for our Monday. We'll really ward off the rain chance until a spotty shower possible this evening. We'll keep that chance around for Tuesday with high temperatures both days around 80. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents their free concert series Live Under the Oaks on Friday. The village is open all day long for shopping and dining, with Hey Ladies taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday. This Saturday, the Tabo Walk begins at 2 p.m. in Old Town Cornelius. Join the area's premier arts and music festival and get ready to experience Lake Norman's most action-packed and fun-filled community celebration with plenty to do for the entire family. Festivities include 2 stages of live bands and entertainment, local artists, craftsmen and vendors, local breweries, multiple food truck courts, a petting zoo, kid zones, games, giveaways, and so much more. The Tabo Walk begins at 2 p.m. Saturday in Old Town Cornelius. Northview's Stars Ministry presents a fundraising carnival for children and adults with special needs on September 28th. The carnival begins at 11 a.m. Saturday at 2615 Amity Hill Road in Statesville with free admission. There will be food, activities, and fun for the whole family. Please help raise funds for children and adults with special needs Saturday at the Northview Church of Christ in Statesville. The Breakaway Carolina Music Festival returns to ZMAX Dragway this Friday and Saturday, bringing a party like no other. The festival features 2 days of music, activities, and much more, beginning at 4 p.m. on both days. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details for the Carolina Breakaway Music Festival this Friday and Saturday.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, October 5th through November 24th. Jousting knights, mermaids, fairies, dragons, oh my! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today. Are you concerned about losing your house if you go into a nursing home? Contact Crosswhite Law to learn about protecting your home. Crosswhite Law is here to protect you. Call 704-873-7233. CrosswhiteLaw.com.
Taking Care of Iredell continues. Here's your host, NC Representative Jeff McNeely on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
All right. Hey, I still got William on the line. He wanted to continue that train of thought. Basically, he was saying that President Trump looks like he's taking the arrows for us. William, you still there with me?
Yes, sir. I was just saying that, Donald Trump is for the people, I think. He's obviously made well for himself, from rags to riches several times over, and here he is again trying to do the right thing, I think, in my opinion. Like him or not, some people want to call him a dictator, but I'll tell you what, I'll take dictatorship every day, all day, over communism or socialism. You can look at dictatorship as one way. Somebody's got to be the boss. There's 2 kinds of people in this world, Jeff, and there's leaders and followers. Figure out which one you are, be proud of it, and go with it. And I don't have a problem with saying I'm a follower, so I don't have any problems taking authority from someone. But there's a difference with asking to do something for somebody or telling somebody to do something, and that's where you separate the two. But I just don't look at Donald Trump as a dictator, but if that's what they want to call him, then fine, I'll take him all day long.
You know what? Donald Trump, with our Constitution, will be fine. We have rights. It will.
But again, going back to the local side of things in each state, running for seats and everything, you just don't really hear that much about negative campaigning or positive campaigning. And it needs to be more on the positive side, obviously, than the negative side. We know what Donald Trump did when he was in office from 2016 to 2020. And we've seen what's happened from 2020 to 2024. And that's what you got to tell people now. You go to the voting booth next month or November, and what do you want, dictatorship or communism? It's your choice.
Well, like I said, my question I ask everybody is, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And the answer should be yes. Things should be getting better all the time, but that is not the answer. That's not the answer.
Well,
We're not better
and
off.
another thing, as far as the woman's standpoint, it should be a proud moment right now for women and women all kind in politics and in man's world, like it's been for so many, many, many years. And here it is, a woman that could be the president of the United States of America. I hope it's not, because she is not the right woman.
Exactly.
Period. She does not have any experience. And it's a shame, because she's already been there, but she's been riding under the coattails of all the rest of them up there. And when it gets down to it, Jeff, if we have to go back to war, which we, in a sense, we are.
Oh, it's coming. Look at Israel. It's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole different. We'd have to have another hour show for that. But yeah, if that's what I'm saying. The hard decisions that needs to be made and done, she's not ready for that, because she hasn't proven that. She hasn't shown that since she's been up there 3.5, 4 years. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the color of her skin. I'm not looking at her sex. I'm not looking at any of that garbage that social media wants to emphasize on. I'm looking at the experience, and she does not have any. And it's really a shame, because she's, like I said, she's been there 3.5, 4 years, and she hasn't done squat.
Well, like I said, I'm not sure if she's visited the border yet. Nobody's actually asked her if she's actually been to the border, not Texas, but to the border. So
yeah,
anyway.
And that's for me. That's my number one issue as far as going to the voting booth this time. Is I was old enough to vote for Ronald Reagan the second term. I voted for him, so that's how far it goes back for me as far as voting and experience. And then in 1984, you had to show your ID. I have no problem with showing my ID. So how is it that we know that some of these illegals are voting? How is it when they don't have an ID? How are they getting by with that? That's the question at the end of the day. How are they getting by with voting without presenting an ID, when we as Americans that were born here, raised here, have to still be held to a higher standard and prove ourselves? That's what I'm frustrated with.
Oh, I know. It drives me crazy.
But anyway, I'll get off of here. I've done enough venting and burned your ears up.
All right, William. You take care, brother.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, see you, bye. He's right on the money. I can't argue with him all day. One thing I do want to jump into a little bit, some things have come out about the Israelis' supposed attack on Hezbollah. Y'all, I'm telling you, that was some bad stuff right there. That was pretty cool. Anybody that can plan that far ahead, and they said there was years of planning involved in the pagers and the walkie-talkies, even though they may have just got those, years of setting this up, running the fake business. It was just, it's pretty cool. Looks like maybe we have another caller, do we? All right, we'll go ahead and take him. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Eugene from Huntersville.
Hey, Eugene. Good to hear from you, sir. How are you?
Thank you. I got something on the computer. It's a little bit lengthy, so if you don't have time, just stop me. When somebody says, I can't believe you'd vote for Trump, okay, my answer is, I'm not voting for Trump. I will not vote for Trump. I'm voting for the First Amendment. I'm voting for individual opportunity against communism. I'm voting for secure borders, legal immigration in our country. I'm fighting for jobs that remain in America, not outsourced all over the world. I'm voting for doing away with all the freebies given to illegals while the veterans are sleeping on the streets. I'm voting for doing away with all the freebies, okay? So I'm voting for continued growth in my retirement and reduced inflation. Voting for peace, progress in the Middle East. The fight against human child trafficking, freedom, and freedom of religion. The other party is heading to relieve us to free us of our freedoms. I'm voting for the right to speak my opinion, not be censored. For the return of teaching math, history, and science in school, not pronouns and whatever. Military and veterans who fought for the country, voting for the Second Amendment, for the next Supreme Court justice to protect the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the return of troops from foreign countries and the end of American involvement in foreign conflicts, electoral college and the constitutional republic for which we live, for the police to be respected again, to ensure law and order. I'm tired of criminals having their revolving door and being put back on the street. Voting for the continued appointment of federal judges who respect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Amen.
Voting for newly born babies who have a right to live, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm not just voting for a person, I'm voting for the future of my country.
Amen. Amen. I'm with you.
There's one other, voting for my children.
You're breaking up on there we go. You're back.
Voting for my children, my grandchildren, to ensure their freedom and their future. What are you voting for? And that's my question.
That's a good question. Eugene, I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you being an American.
Appreciate you.
All right, see you, brother. Bye. All right, folks. Hey, I don't know if I need to say a whole lot more about this show. Getting back a little bit on the Israelis, you know, what they've done with Hamas and now Hezbollah, it's kind of impressive to me. Now, a lot of people may think this is cruel and this and that and the other. They're protecting themselves. Right now, there's 50,000 Israelis that can't live in the northern part of their country for the bombs that are being shot from Syria and in there, from Damascus, from Lebanon, from wherever, into their country. So Israel's going to make sure when this is all done, they can inhabit their own country. And I think that's pretty important. They've got about 37 dead and about 3,000 injured from these different explosions. They've took out the heads, the top ranking officers, if there is such a thing as officers or whatever you want to say it, leaders of Hezbollah. It's impressive. It's impressive. Don't know if we really have time to take a call. We got about a minute and a half left in the show, so I'm a little scared. Do know that there was a big cut in the prime rate, 0.5%. I thought that was pretty huge. Sluggish job report in August caused that. I'm telling you, folks, all the jobs that's been created in the last couple of years, majority of them have been governmental in some form or another, either through government programs or just a straight government. So there you go. Real quick, want to end on a couple things. One, I want you to think about, because right now we're seeing a lot of ganging up on somebody, on Mark Robinson. Josh Stein, I think, is trying to play himself off as a choir boy. Not quite so much. I think you need to look up, see where he told a lie on Jim O'Neill when they were running for Attorney General last time, blaming O'Neill for rape kits, and we almost got him prosecuted because of it. So you need to look at these things. It's important. So anyway, we're getting ready to get to the part of the show where we're ending up here, so we're going to go ahead and say a prayer. But don't believe everything you see, everything you hear. That's all I can say. Dear Heavenly Father, dear Lord, I ask for your protection of our country. Dear Lord, I ask for your protection of officials. I ask, dear Lord, that you watch over us, be with us, lead and guide us in what we do. Help us to make wise decisions, Lord. I ask that we try to be the people that I know you want us to be, and we're all sinners, Lord, in need of a Savior, and I thank you for that. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. Folks, until next week, take care.
You've been listening to North Carolina Representative Jeff McNeely. Join Jeff again next Monday morning at 11:05 for Taking Care of Iredell on News Talk WSIC.
Serving you better than ever before.